Pull up a chair. Young Harabi, I'm sorry, so good. Isha has a happened. You send me Sadeka. Isker Gomez and Seven, we lost in the cellar. Eat in the hotel, the Sasa Hoymal. The Ramana Bishwa Sabu, Shemagan, Eloheinu Nidgel. The Mali Adonai, Kol Mishali Sech, Hashem should fulfill all your heart's requests. After Yodaiti, now I know, says King David, Ki Hoshia Adonai Meshichai. Hashem saves his anointed one. That's the Moshiach. Yamehu Mishmei Kodshem, answering him from his holy heavens. B'guvures Yeshi Yaminei, with might and strength, salvation from his right hand. Eila v'rechav eila v'susim, our enemies come with their horses and with their chariots and with their tanks and with their infantry. V'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu nazker, we stand strong. We don't give way. Hema 3,500 years. You know that long is a long time. 3,500 years. We are teaching the world that there's one God in the world. Avraham Avinu stood on one side of the river. It's called the Ivri. The Ivri means on the other side, and the whole world stood on the other side from him. They all worshiped idols. The most ungrateful thing in the world. Imagine. You're struggling to pay the rent, and somebody comes along and pays the rent for you. You have no food in the Frigidaire, and someone sends you a box full of food. And you know who it is. And instead of saying thank you to the person who sent it, you go to your next door neighbor because you want to be on his good side, and you say, oh, thank you for sending me all this stuff. It's so nice of you. And the person who sent it all hears you. You say, what's wrong with this guy? I give him everything. And he thanks his neighbor instead of thanking me. Well, Hashem doesn't look for thanks, and if you don't thank him, he doesn't protest. But it's the idol worship, to worship an idol, to think that an idol is going to be the source of your blessings, is the biggest insult that a person could give to his creator. There's an old saying, put it in common language. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. If you're a dog, you don't, and so you need someone to feed you. You don't bite the hand of the one who feeds you. But Hashem is the one who feeds us and clothes us and gives us home and family, husbands and wives, children, and we have to be thankful. And Avram stood against the whole wide world. They were all worshiping idols. If I worship this idol, I'm going to get what I want. If I worship the idol of war, I'm going to be a great warrior. If I worship the idol of love, I'm going to have all the love that everybody wants love, right? We don't have to mention the names. We know the names. A lot of people call their children by the names of these idols. V'anachnu b'shem Eloheinu nazker. We come with the name of God on our lips. That's what our life, that's what we're all about, girls. That's what we're all about. We have some new girls in the class this morning. Ariella is not new, but she knows that you have to instruct the girls. Lesson number 1 in this class, Tanya 101, is to look up. And a beautiful day we have to look up today. Spring. It fooled you yesterday. The wind blew. You thought winter would come back. It didn't come back. It was just a tease. Spring is on the way. New Year's Eve is over. It's going to get colder, but it's going to get warmer gradually, like the tide coming in. Comes in, it washes up, goes back out, and it comes in, walks a few inches more, and it comes back in a few inches more. Before you know it, you have high tide. Before you know it, it's going to be spring. It's going to be Pesach. Start cleaning your rooms, girls. Don't leave it till the last minute. Sorry to remind you. Okay, now just here for the new girls in the class. We all know what is the central idea of our Jewish life. Here it is. Who can finish this word? Shema. How do I write it in Hebrew? With a shin and the mem and an ayin. Shema. What does Shema mean? Hear, listen. Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God, none other, only Him. But it's an anagram. The anagram means it stands for three other words, right? Those who went to elections in your college, whatever, you know, they take your name and make a whole phrase out of it about whether you should be elected, right? So the Shin stands for a Hebrew word, which is Se'u. Se'u means, in English, lift up. The Mem stands for a word, in Hebrew, it's marom. Clean marom. Gotta clean marom. Marom means on high. Like Abraham, his name before he changed his name, Hashem changed his name was Av. Av means a father, right? Av Ram. Ram means high. He was the master of the highest spiritual knowledge, Avram. And Hashem changed his name and made him Avraham, which means he was the teacher, the leader of the whole world. Not just of himself, but of all the others that come from him. And he is where we come from. He is our father, Avram. Okay, so Ram means on high. I mean, there was a Jewish guy, when I was a college student, he was going around with a guy named Tim Leary telling everybody to take LSD. And he wrote a book. What was it? It was Richard Alpert. He came and spoke at our university, and I went and heard him. And Baruch Hashem, I didn't go for it. But anyway, I met him. He wrote a book, a very interesting book. I did read the book. I learned a few things from it. And he called himself Baba Ram Das. He gave himself I don't know, Eastern kind of name. His name was Richard Alpert. He called himself Ram. Ram means Hiram, means on high. Ram. And Das. Das means knowledge. So he's hinting that he had a higher knowledge. They were saying, take this drug and you'll have enlightenment. People ask the Rebbe, should I take drugs? Get enlightened? Not to just get high, but to get enlightened, to have higher spiritual enlightenment. The Rebbe said, no, don't do it. We said, why? Because it wears off, and what are you left with? It's not real. Chabad teaches you, be real. Do one real thing, build on it, do a second real thing, do a third real thing, until you have a real knowledge, have a real building based on knowledge, and then no one can take that away from you. Okay, so that's Shin. Means Se'ul, lift up, Maroim, Ayin. What's your nose called in Hebrew? Who knows?
Oz.
Ah, right. What are your ears called in Hebrew? Oznayim. What's your mouth called in Hebrew? Peh. What's your eye called? Einayim. Ayin. Ayin. Or in the plural, Einayim. And if it's yours, let's say Einaychem. The chem means yours. Okay? So Se'u Morim Einechem, that's what's the idea contained in the word Shema. Listen, right? And this is the basis, the word of our Jewish belief. Hear, O Israel, what do we have to hear? What do we have to know? There's one God. Not two, not three, just one. Okay? And He's the source of all our life and the source of every good thing. And in order to remind ourselves, what is this? The basis of our whole Jewish life is some central prayer that we say every time we take a Torah, a sacred Torah out of the ark. We say the Shema. In the morning we say the Shema. At night we say the Shema. And these words which I command you today should be upon your heart. You should say them at home. Say them when you go out somewhere, when you come back home, when you lie down at night, when you get up in the morning. These are commandments. Say these words when you go to bed at night. Say these words when you get up in the morning. Shema Yisrael, hear Israel. Who's Israel? You. All of us. We are the children of Israel. Israel is the first king, Yaakov. Hashem gave him the name is Israel. Hear, O Israel. So to drive us home, this word Shema contains an idea, which is look up into the sky. And that's the first thing we have to do every morning on the way to school. Sometimes it's a beautiful morning like today, sometimes it's not. But that's even bigger because I don't know anybody here who could cover the sky with clouds. I couldn't do it. Only Hashem could do it. But you look up and you see, what do you see when you look up? Clouds? No. You see a beautiful show, better than any Broadway show, better than any three-dimensional movie with they surround you with film, and you're in the middle of the. You see the majesty of God on display. On display. You want to make a big hit on Broadway? Can you match that? And here it is for free. No, you don't even have to pay admission. So that's the first thing to do on the way to class. That puts us in a mood, a good mood. By the way, a good mood is a very great thing. A friend of mine, his name is a very well-known personality. We're exactly the same age. We were in yeshiva together. We played football together. He still plays. Sometimes my son goes out and throws a football with me. We stand outside the house and the people walk by and they look and they go say, "Oh, Grandpa's playing football." Anyway, he had yechidus with his wife when they were newly married, and she was just expecting their first child. And they had a private yechidus with the Rebbe. And he sent in a note to the Rebbe asking a blessing for his child that was going to be born, Bezos, in a good way, in a good moment. And he put in a whole, what he called a shopping list of qualities that he wanted his child to have. You know, everybody wants their children to go to the best college. He wanted his children to have the best spiritual advantages. And what better place to get them than from a blessing from the Rebbe? And the Rebbe, you know, he should love Hashem and fear Hashem and be full of goodness and kindness and sensitivity, and he should be able to learn, he should be able to daven, and he should have clarity in his mind, and he should have a good heart, and he should run to do mitzvahs. All these things that he wanted his child to have. And the Rebbe looked at the zettel and read it, and he said, "You should merit to raise your children together with your life in a good mood." He was shocked. He actually said it. He said, "That's all?" I mean, he asked for so many things. That's all. So the Rebbe said, "You should merit to raise your children with your wife in a good mood." And he heard that was all. And he backed out and he left. And he said, it's on video. They interviewed him. And he said, "I felt cheated. I came for a big bracha and all I got was a good mood. And I was angry." As we're walking away, I said to my wife, he says, "You know, Gittel," that's her name. He says, "I think we're going to have a lot of children." She said, "Why?" He said, "Because I asked for a child. Rebbe said children. And I think we're going to stay together. Our marriage is going to work. Because the Rebbe said together with your wife." And I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. But the Rebbe gave us a bracha, it should be in a good mood. And that contains everything. So we look up in the sky in the morning, we see the majesty of God, that puts us in a good mood, and now we're ready to learn Torah for about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. See how much we can get done. Jessica always has a fit. Why do you go so slow? Okay, I'm going to say a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvarei. We thank God. What is a thanks? Thanks we give God. We thank you because you create everything with your word, by your speaking, by speech. Words are very powerful. God made us in his image. We can create things with speech. We can create goodness for people. We can make people upset, heaven forbid. So we have to be very careful what we say, because you say a wrong word, can destroy a person's life. I've met people from both sides of the picture. A person who was a very, very weak student, very discouraged, had a teacher who told him, you know, that assignment that you gave me, it was beautiful. I really liked it. He was a weak student, but the fact that the teacher told him that he did something beautiful gave him the courage and the desire to do good. And unfortunately, the other side was a girl from a very fine home whose life was a mess. And they asked her, what turned you off? I mean, your brothers, your sisters, everybody's going a certain way, and you're going in a different way. And she said, my mother was very critical, and my teacher told me I was no good. So why should I try? If I'm no good, so I'll be no good. That's the way I am. They told me, so they must know. You have to be so careful what you say. And you girls are the best of all the rest.
Best of all.
Right, Ariella?
Maybe. I would say so.
You would say so. I do say so. Okay. Okay, now we're in chapter 5, and what we're discussing in chapter 5 is what's going to happen to you after 120 years. Your soul is going to say bye-bye, almost, to your body, and your body's not going to move around anymore. They're going to move you. We're going to move us. They're going to put us in a resting place, in a nice place. And what's going to be with the life that's in us? The life that's within us is going to go to, like they say, to heaven. We call it Gan Eden. It's going to go to Gan Eden. And the question is, what am I going to wear? When you get invited to a wedding, you got, what am I going to wear? To a party, what am I going to wear? So what we've just learned is this fantastic concept that the mitzvahs that we do here in this world, the good deeds, the commandments that we fulfill, become our clothing in the world to come. The good deeds we do become our garments, and the good things we say are also garments, because we do, when we speak, you're doing something. And even the thoughts that you think are garments. So therefore, we have to try and think good thoughts. Sometimes people say, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. I'm always thinking not nice things. I mean, they're nice enough that I think about them, but I know that they're not right. I'm thinking about things I'm not supposed to think about. I don't know what to do. I can't stop thinking. The thinking just keeps on going. It doesn't stop. You ever notice that? I was 11 years old. I've told you now, I think 3 times recently. I had a cousin who was a little older than me, and one day he said to me, you know, I realized that I think. I never realized that I was thinking. There's a famous French philosopher, who knows his name, Descartes. He said, I think, therefore I am. I know I am, because I think. That's proof positive for me. The Greeks had the same idea. They said, I think, therefore I'm the center of the world. Because I don't believe in anything else but myself. And the false gods, that they're other idols. So thinking is also an activity we do with our brain. And what do you do if you're thinking about things you're not supposed to think about? Well, how does that happen? Well, it could happen by accident, or it could happen because you cause it to happen. Let's say there's an X-rated movie and you went before you knew what the X was about. And you saw things that were not so nice. We're not supposed to see things like that. Once they're in, how do you get them out? I remember once when we were newly married, we needed furniture. And there was a sale. An elderly couple was moving to Florida, and they were selling their furniture. So we went there, and they were nice, very nice people. And the husband was sitting in the side room watching television. And I went over to schmooze with him a little bit. and he was watching a movie about the young man who was in prison, and he was fighting with somebody else in prison, and they had a big fight. And I happened to see this. What take? 35 seconds? Can't get it out of my mind. It's imprinted there. And there are things, good things that you see. They have to be imprinted in your mind. So we have to develop good thoughts, because what do you do when you have not good thoughts? How do you get rid of them? Think about something else. You are in control of your thoughts, and you can push away a bad thought with a good thought. So you have to develop a repertoire, like any musician or poet or artist or dancer, whatever, of good thoughts that you can use to push away bad thoughts. Which bad thoughts are things that, if you're not allowed to do so, you're not allowed to rob a bank, you're not allowed to think about robbing a bank. The Torah tells us, don't learn about idol worship. Don't study it. When I was a kid, they took us to church, they took us to all kinds of places, they called it comparative religion. Pooh. What do we have to do? Why do we have to go to church? Why do we have to learn about other religions? False religions. Why? And if I remember it, how do I get rid of it? If I see things that are not right, they're not proper, and you can use your own imagination, what I'm talking about. You go to a drugstore, you check out, there's a magazine with an immodest picture on the cover. How do you get rid of it? You have to think about other things. And you can do it. You just have to think about other things. There was a person who said to the Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe, Rebbe, I don't know what to do. I have bad thoughts. So the Rebbe said, well, think about a holy person. Think about a holy person. He says, I don't know. It may sound like a funny guy. He was a funny, simple person. He said, I don't know any holy people, Rebbe. He said, you don't know any tzaddikim? He says, no. You ever saw a picture of a tzaddik? He said, no. So someone says, so think about me. When you have a bad thought, think about me. And the Rebbe didn't mind if people would think about him. The Rebbe didn't like if people looked at him. He used to say, look in the siddur, don't look at me. But to think about the face of the Rebbe, we just read 2 weeks ago, Parshas Vayeshev, the wife of Potiphar is trying her hardest, her darndest to seduce Yosef. Yosef was gorgeous. He was talented, he was smart, he was charming, he was everything. And he was so lovable that Potiphar himself fell in love with him and wanted to be his lover. And Potiphar's wife, infinitely more so. And whoa, she was a real witch, and she wouldn't leave him alone. And one time everybody was out celebrating a festival, and he went to do his work in the house, and she was waiting for him. And she really, anyway, everybody knows the story, that she managed to get his cloak off, and he saw the image of his father, like looking at him in the window. He saw his father's face, and that saved him. And he ran out and left the garments in her hands. It's a famous story. Could make a movie out of it. No, don't do that. But that's Joseph. And he stood up to that test. And for that, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. She made sure he got put in prison for 13 years. And she used to come to him every day and urge him to be with her, and he would be free. But it was the image of his father's face that saved him. So that's one way that you get rid of bad thoughts. You have to have images in your mind and thoughts in your mind that are good thoughts, like learning Tanya by heart. To learn Tanya by heart, you have to take a line and say it over and over and over and over and over and over, 100, 200, 300 times, and it'll get engraved in your mind. And when you start thinking bad thoughts, so you go back and do it another one time. Think that thought another time. You can't stop thinking, but you can't think two things at once. Most people. So what are you going to wear in Gan Eden? When you go to Gan Eden, what are you going to wear? You know, there's an amazing medrash. It says that after 40 years in the desert, the Jewish people were ready to go into Eretz Yisrael. Moshe and Aaron could not go. Miriam had passed away. Moshe had to take Aaron. Oh, it's a very moving dialogue. He had to reveal to Aaron that he had been told by Hashem that Aaron's expiry date had arrived. And they went up a mountain, and they went into a cave, and he hinted to Aaron what it was all about until Aaron realized what was happening. And they found in this cave a bed and a table and a lamp that was lit. And Moshe said to Aaron, get up on the bed. He got up on the bed. He says, lie on your back. Lay on his back. I guess before that, he took off his priestly garments. He was wearing priestly garments, took them off. Now, it's a bit not clear in my mind exactly what happened. He took off all his garments. He was lying there, but that's not nice. He was lying there without any clothes on. So the Medrash asked the question, is this nice? Aaron, the high priest, was lying there with no clothes on? No. He was wearing clothes. What were his clothes? The Medrash says, every garment he took off was immediately, he took off his garments and he dressed his son, his eldest son, in those same garments. So he saw his son dressed as Kohen Gadol while he was still alive. And that was considered a great blessing for him, a great comfort. Believe me, it's a very, very great comfort when you see your son, your child going in the ways that you went in a holy way. So all the garments he took off and he gave to his son, and he saw his son dressed in his garments, but as he took off each garment, it was replaced with a spiritual garment, the same one, only it was spiritual. Because everything in this world, remember class number one, sheer number one in this class, everything has a body and a soul. Every physical thing has a spiritual counterpart that makes it what it is. And all those holy garments of the high priest were still on Aaron, only they were spiritual. And Moshe said, open your hands, close your eyes, close your mouth. And the soul went out. If his mouth was closed, where did the soul go out? Nose. So Hashem blew a living soul into the nose of Adam. Very moving. So those are the garments we're going to have in the world to come. All the good deeds. So just like you go to a sale at some fancy store in Manhattan, you choose the most beautiful garments you can. So day by day, every hour, we have to be so careful to do things that will be beautiful garments. Do beautiful things. Be like a ballet dancer, does beautiful things, even when they're not performing on stage. They're still a ballet dancer. They're still graceful. They're still gracious. And we have to speak nicely. That we should have beautiful garments of speech. And we have to think nicely, like the Rebbe said, in a good mood. We have to feel good things, and have good feelings. These things will be our spiritual garments in the world to come. Okay, that's spiritual garments. What are we going to eat? What are they going to serve? What's going to be at the Viennese table? Torah that you learn. But we're learning here two things of Torah. One thing of Torah is a mitzvah. To learn Torah is a mitzvah. It's an activity. But there's something deeper than that. That's knowing what you learn, understanding it, grasping it, like holding it in your hand, until it becomes engraved in your mind and in your heart, and it becomes part of you. It's not like a Gorilla Glue. It's like 2 drops of water, 2 drops of oil. They become one. The Torah that you learn on that level, that will be the garment that you'll have in the world to come after 120 years, B'ezras Hashem. Holy garments, holy thoughts. Hashem's garments. The mitzvahs are Hashem's garments. And the thoughts are Hashem's thoughts. My thoughts become your thoughts, Hashem says to us. And that's the tremendous unity that we're learning about in this chapter. That the garments of the soul, page 97. Think I'm not making it up. It's all here. I had a teacher in my last year of high school. She used to say, people think it's in the Bible. People, no, it's not. It's in Shakespeare, she would say. It's just the other way around. A lot of the wisdom in Shakespeare is from the Bible. So here, everything I'm telling you here is written right here in the Tanya. Similarly, the middle of page 97, written in Eitz Chaim, who was Chaim Vital, the secretary of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, who taught us, quote, the garments of the souls in paradise are the mitzvahs that we do in this world. Torah, on the other hand, is the food of the souls in paradise. If they had learned Torah just because it's Hashem's Torah, not because they want a good shidduch, or not because they want to get a good job, and not because they want people to admire them and look up to them and respect them. They learn Torah because it's Hashem's Torah. What could be greater than that? To learn Torah for its own sake, which means for the intent of binding one's soul to Hashem through understanding the Torah. Each person, according to his capacity, according to his IQ, to how much ideas he can hold in his brain, because Hashem's bigger than any ideas you might have, as much as you have. Because the food of the soul, just like bread becomes your flesh and blood, when you eat it, it becomes your flesh and blood. So the Torah also becomes part of you, like food. So Torah is compared to food, and the mitzvahs are compared to garments. And this is the advantage of Torah over mitzvahs, because the Torah is, even we learn that mitzvahs are commandments that connect us to God. It's very, very high. But Torah is also a mitzvah. It's not just understanding, it's also a mitzvah. The learning of Torah is also a mitzvah. Even just saying the words of Torah is a mitzvah. And with this, we finish chapter 5.
Woo! Rabbi Pape, can I introduce you to some AS Jews? This is Ariel Pfeffer and Elisa Pfeffer.
Ariel and an Ariel.
Ariel, true. They're also.
Who's the second?
Aliza.
What?
Aliza.
Aliza? Oh, my wife's mother's name was Isa. In Israel, they gave her the name Aliza. So I've got a lot of little Alisas running around nowadays.
But they're very close with your favorite student, Malka Avalev. Or used to be Presty. What are you doing?
ASU, right?
Yeah, AS. Or AS Jews.
So it's Ariel and Aliza. Welcome. Come again. Don't wait so long till the next time. How long are you staying?
We're just here till Sunday.
Huh?
We're
Till Pesach?
No, just till Sunday.
Just till Sunday?
I wish we were here for longer.
Just got to know you.
We'll be back.
Yeah, that's what Malka said. She only came for one day. Her mother asked her to come and say Kaddish for her grandfather. She didn't know where to go, so she went to the Chabad.
Ever since you tested Malka,
They were nice to her, so she went and came again.
Malka and I have been learning Tanya every day. And
No kidding.
Yeah, since you tested she was in labor and she called me and we learned Tanya. Like she always raves about your class and how it inspired her love for Tanya.
Every time I hear the word Tanya, your name also comes up. Did you
Yeah,
know you
yeah.
had a baby boy?
Yes,
Malka had a baby boy.
a baby boy when?
2 weeks ago, yeah, right before you tested. Literally 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Did her husband become a doctor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's his last name? I remember.
Avalev.
Yeah, Abba. There's a the Frierdiker Rebbe writes a story about I'll tell you next week if you remind me. About that was his name. Very good story. Okay, have a great Shabbos, girls. This is the best Shabbos. It's the Shabbos after Hanukkah. We're taking all the 8 lights of Hanukkah into Shabbos and we're adding to that the lights of Shabbos, which you're gonna light tonight, right, on time, 4:23. And don't come back to the last one. Try and be a little early.